Ladies and gentlemen, guys and girls, my name is Raven and welcome back to my channel. And welcome back to another episode of Raven's Ramble. Now in today's video we're going to be talking about light attacks and light spam in general. It's going to be a big discussion around this whole thing. Because recently there was a Warriors Den live stream and on the Den they talked about balance, they talked about light attacks and they gave their opinions on it and they basically said that they're fine with how it is right now because they were only looking at the data and they were only looking at the speed of light attacks. But for me personally, when it comes to light attacks and light attack spam, there is more to look at than just the speed. You have to look at consoles versus PC, and you also have to look at the fact that light attacks are light attacks and what that means. So today we're going to be talking about that, and I don't want to hear just my opinion on this. I want to hear from all of you what you think about everything I say in the video, and then whatever you think as well when it comes to light attacks and everything that I hit on. So make sure you leave that comment down below and talk about it in the comment section. So let's get right into it, shall we? First of all, we're going to be talking about the devs and what they talked about. So essentially, from the developer's standpoint, and what the data says, they need light attacks to be 400 ms because there's no way for light attacks to be viable otherwise, because if they're 450 ms or 500 ms, so on and so forth, they're way too easy to block, they're way too easy to parry, and they're pretty much useless. But keep in mind, the devs only really take data from the very top 2.1% of players, although the devs on the Den did say that Pope, who is apparently shit at the game, he was able to block 450 ms lights and 500 ms lights with no problem whatsoever. So that was their reasoning for why it has to go down to 400 ms and be so goddamn quick, because otherwise even the worst player in their eyes is able to block it and parry it successfully, and that's an issue because then it becomes a dead thing because no one uses it. Now I can totally believe that being the case, and that is 100% fair, but the problem is the devs looked at that and said, well, if we do 450, that doesn't work, 500 that doesn't work, so what we have to do is we have to bring it down to 400. Okay, now that's working, that's completely fine. Light attacks are fine in our eyes because that's the only way we can get it to be viable. But because it's so quick, it ends up being spammed and you have light attack spam characters all over the place. It's really fucking annoying, and on consoles it's an absolute clusterfuck and people just get butchered left, right, and center. And it is a major problem amongst the community, not the 2.1%. Keep that in mind, those guys, they can do anything they want whenever they want because they're gods at the game. That is 100% fair. Even the people in the top 10% of the player base, they'll have no issues whatsoever with light attacks, and it's just something that they may be annoyed by, but they'll get used to and they can deal with effectively, which is no problem. But you got to remember that the majority of your player base, okay, so the rest of them that keep the game going, because they all leave, then the game dies, all those guys pretty much hate light attacks. They're saying there's a problem with it, and they're saying the light spam is really, really annoying. But the devs are saying it's completely fine because they're only looking at the data, so there's a massive disconnect there. And here is where we need to look at multiple layers of the light attacks and why they're so goddamn fucking annoying. So far, the devs are just looking at the speed. I think that's wrong. They need to look at everything. First of all, on consoles versus PC, that is a very big deal of why there's so much fluctuation between the public opinion when it comes to certain characters and certain moves and certain things. Because what is overpowered as shit on console is completely fine on PC for the most part. Something that's completely overpowered on PC, you better believe your fucking ass that it's absolutely crushing everyone's skulls over there on console. Because on console there is FPS issues. It's only 30 FPS as opposed to 60. I know some people say the FPS has nothing to do with anything. The FPS has everything to do with everything. Okay, you have the FPS you got to worry about. You have to have, like, you know, whatever monitor, screen, all that sort of stuff you're doing, whatever lag you have on top of that, you have whatever delay that's built into consoles versus PC. There are a whole bunch of things working together that make it an issue. So you can't really just sit there and say that 30 FPS doesn't make any difference, because it does. It adds onto all those additional issues. Hence why console players have a vastly different view of certain things than PC players. Because technically they're playing a scuffed version of the game, because there's limitations between console and PC. But the devs don't really acknowledge this. They aren't really acknowledging the fact that the reason why light attacks is so annoying for so many people is because of that difference and all the differences between console and PC. For the longest time now, everyone on console, for the most part, except for those really, really good players like I've been talking about, have been complaining about this. And it's really shitty to see that the devs haven't really addressed it and just come out flat out said, we know that there is this massive issue and disconnect between consoles and PC. We're going to do separate balancing or something similar, or even just separate balancing on light attacks just to make it bearable for the console players, at least the majority. Instead, they just haven't really said anything about it, and they just keep sort of dodging it and denying it and saying, well, we've looked at the data, we've looked at the 2.1% of players at the very top, and light attacks are completely fine at 400 ms because we have it there, and that way all the shitty popes of the world can't, you know, block it at will, and it's hard for them to deal with. That's that's completely fine. Which in my opinion is kind of stupid because you're, kneecapping the rest of your player base. That's kind of shitty. But there is another thing when it comes to light attacks that I have never seen the devs mention. I've never seen them talk about this. I've never seen them acknowledge this. And when I say I've never heard this and I've been covering this game since day one. And that is the fact that a light attack is a light attack. There's heavy attacks and light attacks for a reason, and I want to talk about this because it's something I've been thinking about for a while now. And I think it's a layer that needs to be talked about because then we can move forward from that point onward. Now, it's in the goddamn name. It is a light attack. What is a light attack? Okay, it's something that you do that's nice and quick. A quick little stab here, a nice little cut there. Okay, it's something very, very fast, something that doesn't do a lot of damage, and it's not supposed to do a lot of damage. It's just supposed to be a quick thing. Like in boxing, you have a jab. Okay, a jab is just a quick little thing that you throw out to stun someone, to throw someone off, to test their reflexes, so on and so forth. You don't do a jab to knock a guy out. It can happen because if you get hit in the face, you're getting hit in the face, and if you get hit in the right spot, you're out cold. That's just, biology and science. But for the most part, you're not jabbing someone to knock them out. You're going for that big fucking haymaker on that right hook in order to knock someone out, because that would be the heavy attack. A heavy attack is supposed to be slow. It's supposed to be a lot of weight behind it. You're really trying to fucking just crush this guy into the ground and fuck his ancestors with how hard you just hit him. But a light attack is nice and quick, and the damage between a light attack and a heavy attack should reflect that. But currently, light attacks are very, very fast. The devs like the speed it's at, but at the same time, the damage of a light attack is pretty goddamn high considering it's a light attack. It's supposed to be a quick little thing that just distracts the enemy, does a little bit of damage, does something, okay? The heavy attacks right now do a bunch of damage. That's completely fine. It's a heavy attack. It's supposed to be you're crushing the guy into the ground, like I said. So I don't mind a heavy attack doing like 50 damage, 40 damage and stuff. But when a light attack is doing even half the damage of a heavy attack, for me personally, that's a little bit too much for what it is, especially at the speed that it is. And that's why we have a problem with a light spam meta. Because if you throw a heavy attack out, it's too slow, it will get parried, and then you're going to have to eat damage. But light attacks being nice and quick, you can safely throw it out for the most part. And unless you're versing one of those gods or someone who's just on their parry game for that night, you're not really going to get punished for that. You're going to, do some chip damage to them. And if you get the attack through, you're doing fairly decent damage. So it's quick and it's rewarding damage-wise, so that's why it is spammed. Personally, I think damage-wise, light attack should reflect the fact that it is a light attack. It's a quick little thing. And that would also make the speed bearable, because if you reduce the damage of light attacks, then it wouldn't be so annoying that it's being spammed, and it would be in line with the type of attack you're using. Because if someone wants to sit there and then try and light spam you to death, they might be there for a very long time, and all you need to do is get one heavy off, and you should be able to catch up damage-wise to what they've done to you if they're just sitting there supposedly light attacking you to death. Because if someone's sitting there and just giving me these little, death by 1,000 cuts type deal, and I just come in with a fucking claymore and smash him in the side of the head, technically he should be dead and I should be pretty wounded, but I should be able to make up the damage pretty damn quick. And I think that is a fair compromise. If light attacks are going to be really, really quick, then light attacks should do less damage significantly compared to a heavy. Because a heavy is slow, and the trade-off is that if you're going to throw a wild heavy attack out there, you better bet your ass that you're probably going to be parried. But if you manage to land the fucking thing, you're going to do some really heavy damage to the target. And that makes sense for what the attack is, and light attacks, I think, need to start making sense for what the attack is, a light attack. I also think that the devs need to start at least considering to do maybe bits and pieces of separate balancing for consoles and PC to make things bearable for both of them. Because right now, on the console side, for the majority of the player base, it is completely unfair, and I see that, and no one's really talking about it, and it's kind of shitting me a little bit, especially on the developer side, because that is where the majority of their player base is, and I don't even play on consoles, but I see thousands of comments all the goddamn time from people saying how bad it is, and so on and so forth, and I've looked at some of their freaking scores and how good they are and stuff. They're not bad players. Yeah, they're not in the top echelon of players, but they're also not at the very bottom. Like I've been saying, they're in the middle to the top half and the bottom half. There is a wide, vast amount of players, which are the majority, just sitting there in the middle. You have the shittest of the shit. Okay, those guys are never going to be good at the game. We shouldn't be listening to their opinion. No offense, because they're really, really terrible at the game. They should just look to have some fun with whatever they can do. You don't have the pinnacle of the players at the very, very top. Those guys are the best. They're gods. They can do whatever they want, whenever they want. No problem whatsoever. We should take their opinion into account because they know the game off by heart. They know exactly how things should go. They know damage. They know balance. They know all that sort of stuff. 100% fine. Take their opinion into account. But the devs need to make the game fun and bearable, and at least so people have a chance for that giant fucking chunk that's in the middle. Because if that giant fucking chunk that's in the middle decide to go, you know what, this game is shit, I can't do anything, I'm sick of X, Y, and Z reasons, I'm going to leave, this game dies. And I know people at the very, very top, they don't want to hear that, but the game will die and you'll have no game. The people at the very bottom, they don't want to hear that, the game will die, you'll have no game. You gotta please the vast majority of players, otherwise the game goes down the drain. Ubisoft is a company, they're a business. They're not going to keep this game running, okay, if they only have 2.1% players, which equals out to a couple thousand people or whatever. They're not going to do that. So when all is said and done, light spam is a problem for the majority of players. It is an issue for the majority of players. Don't give a fuck what the data says. Don't care what the top players say, okay? Yes, they can deal with it. Yes, the data says that at this level, the top players can deal with it, but you need to take into account everyone else. Okay, and this is PC too, not just consoles. There is a vast chunk of players on PC who, once again, are just in the middle. From, you know, sort of good to really good to in the middle. And all these people have an issue with it, so you gotta fix it. And I think the best course of action for fixing light attack spam is to treat it like an actual fucking light attack. Reduce the damage to the point where it's used mostly as a quick thing to stuff attacks. Some guy goes for that heavy to try and get some big damage on you. Stuff his attack with a quick light attack, you know, a nice little slice here and there. Bam. He stopped his move, okay, you've attacked him, and then from there you can do whatever other combo you want, or maybe go for that heavy and go for that nice little quick light attack to just, you know, get some free damage down. I think that's a better use for a light attack than what the current state of it is. Because right now it does too much damage, it is too quick, and it's just being abused left, right, and center because of the fact that it does too much damage and it's too quick. You can't have your cake and eat it too. Either reduce the speed of it, which you've already said that you've tested and it doesn't work from the developer side of things, that's fair. Then reduce the damage of it so that way it's not as rewarding to use and people can start using it more as a mind game thing and more strategically rather than just spamming it to death, because if you reduce the damage on it, it's not going to work as a, like, you know, a spam to death type move. But that currently is where I stand on it. Start taking consoles into account and the majority of the player base when it comes to light spams. Reduce the damage of the thing, treat it like an actual light attack, and hopefully the devs start doing the right thing when it comes to light attacks, because it's a mess right now and it's not getting any better and people are getting pretty damn pissy with it. And rightfully so. But that is the end of the video, guys, so thank you so much for watching. If you liked the video, please give it a thumbs up, leave a comment down below, and let me know your thoughts. I love reading and replying to all your comments down below. And feel free to check out my Discord and Twitter. There is a link down below in the description box for both of those as well. The Discord is a great way for me to talk to you guys outside the YouTube comments section. And of course, the Twitter is a great way for you guys to get a notification whenever a video is being uploaded, because YouTube is a bit weird sometimes. And if you like this video and you like what I'm doing here on the channel and you want to support the channel further, feel free to check out my Patreon. There'll be a link down below in the description box and a link will pop up at the end of the video. And if you choose to donate, it is greatly appreciated. And a big shout out to my current patrons whose names you've been seeing in the background. Just wanted to say thank you for your support. It really does mean a lot. And please share this video around, it does help me out a fuck ton. And if you want to see more videos from me, please hit the subscribe button. I shall see you all in the next video. Have a good one, guys.